Hello and welcome to another day of Reinventing the Jam. No, Reinventing the Wheel Jam, this is what it is. The Wheel Reinvention Jam, however you want to call it. It is now day 4 of the jam. For people who don't know what this jam is, it's a 1-week jam starting from August 15th to August the 21st, and it's a time to change the status quo, and it's happening right now. So it's a week-long jam where you're trying to take a fresh eye at looking at solved problems. So we're looking at tools we use every day that are broken, and software is slow, it's unreliable, and it's really bloated with very numerous thoughtless features. So the whole point of this jam is you're trying to be more fun with this, is the best way of putting it. Try and do something different and getting on with this here. So what I've been doing for this jam is been reinventing the cookbook. Okay, this may seem like how do you reinvent the cookbook? Cookbooks have been around for hundreds of years, if not thousands. How can you reinvent a cookbook? It's like, well, I'm trying. It's the best way of doing it. So for this kind of thing is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm doing. This is day 4 of it, and you've been seeing all of my progression on stream pretty much, bar like 20 minutes. But yeah, this is going to see what carrying on with the stream. So if we go back to the scene, here's the Wheel Reinvention Jam website. So go to handmade.network / with a slash all the backwards, which you see in the screen, jam. And here it is. So please check it out, and please see everyone's progress, because there's some really good progress going on with many people's jams. Sky is doing some sign distance field checking, which is very good. Like, he's got a little way to view different sign distance fields. So there's a nice little thing here. So just showing off the new stuff that's going on for people are doing. Quite nice this is. Yeah, that's quite cool. That is pretty cool. Animations as well for a sign distance field. Nice. This is less interesting, but I want to see what he's doing. What's Jake doing at the moment? I can't view this bigger, unfortunately. So it's a GIF, that's why. So abbreviation, you open it up. Look at all the different abbreviations. It's just showing you can do from that. Okay. So this is what Colin and also I think Ben are working on, which is where we're showing networks and showing how packets distribute through a network. So it's a way of actually showing it off. It's pretty damn cool. Yeah, that is pretty cool, damn cool. And by the way, I think this is written in Odin and WASM as well, which is even cooler, I think, if I am correct. So that's even cooler. What is this Voxel Riffs doing? He's got his multi-edit thing. This should work as the window title. You'd hope, right? Okay. Enter a drive. Yeah, he's going to put the D drive in there. It's that face. Yeah, sorry. That's what you have to do in the D drive. Okay. Categorizing logs and files. Okay, this is interesting. Well, Ben showing off the other stuff that Colin's also working on. Okay, that looks pretty cool with the different packets that are being passed around in the network. That is pretty cool. This is also the image organizer thing, which I know Samuel's working on. Some of these, that's a 4K image, but some of them is a 4K images, some of these bigger. These are very big things, and it's just showing that you can actually share them all at once. So it's a nice way of organizing your images and showing them in kind of a more generalized way. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty good way of doing things. Seeing anything else we've missed out. And then there's stuff we've shown from last night. So for people who've missed the stream, this is what I've been working on, which is for lack of a better word, it is a cookbook. So this one here, we're going to play the video and then you can see what's going to happen on here. So here you go, we've got details for a cookbook and you can show the different ingredients. But what's cool is you can change the portion sizes to that. I has the plurals if we went down to 1, but I don't. Change all the portions and all the ingredient sizes change correctly for you. And you can change the units on every single ingredient that's in there to the correct unit, whatever you prefer, whichever unit system you like. And it'll even know, notice we're going to volumetric, so it knows the density of the ingredient as well, which is extremely useful. I don't even think most things do that. I don't know another cookbook that does that yet. It just means it has a proper database. So you can do all this, and it knows all the different things for the things as you go in here. So all the things, obviously. And also another thing you may notice is when it does this, it does fractions for you. So that said it was half a pint, approximately. Or that's 10 fluid ounces and then an eighth of an ounce. Like half an ounce of butter there. It does it wonderfully in that regard. It does all the different fractions, which is what that thing at the top there for is, if you can see it, that direction I'm pointing. So this is when you're adding an ingredient. So I'm going to try and add water in this particular case. And I'm going to default unit of milliliters, and I'm going to set the density of 1 for water, obviously. I need to put, and it says, oh, unfortunately, we already have this in our database, so just get rid of it for the time being. We already have water in the database, so we don't need to add it, but that's just showing you if it works. And then we're showing off how we can add a recipe into this system. So I'm making a recipe for ginger jam. For this jam, oh, it's ginger haim? No, ginger jam. I didn't really say that well. It's a pot of jam. Yeah. The portion name is a pot, and the plurals are pots, obviously. So you put the plural names in there, adding all the different ingredients. So I'm going to add another ingredient in here, which is going to be, of course, stem ginger. And also, by the way, it's had a default unit of grams. It knew it would have been the default unit is grams. It's got a mass unit. Caster sugar has a default unit of grams in it. Lovely. The next one's going to be water, and that's a default unit of milliliters. Look how good that is. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I'm going to say that. And the last one is some green chilies. Notice it hasn't got any units. They're just units. So put in there 1. We can add descriptions. We can add other steps in here, like for instance, you make the thing as the first step, make the thingy, and then the second step is, you know, the thing, you know the thing, and then the third step is, yeah, no malarkey going on, just no malarkey. That is, of course, the steps for making jam, as people knew this. You can turn the fractions off, so if you want to do decimals, if you wanted, without rounding as well, but you want probably the rounding. So there you go. There's our little cookbook thing. Hopefully that clears up what people are seeing for this reverse the cookbook thing. So we can get off this and actually get back to the code development for today. Okay, has anyone got any questions before we start? Yeah? Yeah, hello Brett, how you doing? Yeah, so you're very glad I'm putting this together, and you've been thinking about something like this for a couple of years, like so have I. I've been thinking about doing this last year, I did, but then I got ill that week, so I couldn't finish it off. So it was like, I didn't even start, I pretty much had a day, then got ill, and then I was like, oh great, the entire week's gone. But this one I'm already done, we're on day 4, so after 3 days we've got pretty much most of the forward cookbook. We haven't actually implemented adding a recipe yet, nor have we shown the way of adding tags to a recipe. We haven't even rendered the tag rendering yet, but that's pretty good. Will this be an Odin example later on? I don't know, and there's a good reason for that. This might actually be a real product. Well, at least this prototype won't be. Because I'm thinking, like, this is honestly a really good prototype, and it probably could be made into a real thing. So if it could be made into a real thing, you kind of want to push it on. So yeah, so I'm going to do the full screen. He said that was a lot of win already for 3 days of development. And by the way, it's not even 3 days, it's 3 streaming sessions. So that's not even... Say it's 8 hours, maybe 9 hours of work. 9 hours of work. And we got that. That's pretty impressive in my opinion. That's a full day's work. And you got something that's pretty usable already. Thank goodness for all the libraries that are in Odin that I can do, like especially the micro UI. Many of the also have to do adjustments to it as I go along, but that's what you do. Yeah, I'll probably need a website built for this. I really will if it's going to be a proper app. It's one of those where... I was originally going to make it a web app kind of thing, but I thought, screw it. Making a web app takes longer than just making a desktop app. It really does for development, and I just can't be bothered to do it. It is a database problem, obviously. So we should probably get on with this and get on with the show. So let's get back to this scene so you can see everything and show all the windows. there's the rounding rules. The rounding rules. I have to roll my R's there just to get the word out. Is absolutely fine. This stream tonight won't be that long because I started late. It's just been a busy day. It really has. So I'm been a bit late. So I think I'm going to finish this stream in probably an hour and a half time. It's one of those where this jam, I know if I had a holiday this week, I would have been productive is the best way of putting it. But I have a full-time job. So and other duties to do, obviously, in my life. So clearly, unfortunately, those take priority. It's like, life gets in the way. So the first things I wanted to do is I wanted to change the viewing of the recipes at the moment because I noticed when I view a recipe, I don't actually state the tags in it. So for instance, I don't actually have all the recipe tags. So if I go back to recipes, not recipes, the recipe Odin, tag, what we will require is the recipes here. We need to get the recipe steps. We also need to get the recipe tags. So these are going to be the tags. Tags string, comma. Yeah? So select, and then we're looking at a database for the tags. Ingredient tag. Yeah? So we go to, we know what, let's just do a query in here, shall we? So we're going to select, let's say everything from ingredient tag where recipe ID equals 1. Yeah? And it said that didn't work. Oh no, ingredient. Wait, what? No, it's the recipe ID. I meant recipe tag, not ingredient tag. Sorry. That's that there. But this doesn't tell us anything about what the tag ID is. So what we need to do is we go back and then we need to do some joins. So join with the tag where tag ID equals tag.tag ID equals recipe tag.tag ID. Yeah? Is that even correct syntax? Oh, not where, it's on, sorry. Syntax is always annoying. That's great. So then all we need to do now is print the recipe tag, the tag name as name. And that gives me that. And then what I'm going to do is order by name ascending. So there's all of the tags. And to be honest with you, we probably don't even need to do it by ascending. We just need to do in any random order, to be honest with you. Right, so this is actually the query that we require now. So we can just plop that in with some magic. That's the technical term, magic. And then that gives us all our tags. We can then go to here. And then with our tags, we probably don't need to call them tags. But what we would rather have here is we need to do a row UI.items, and then the items, we're going to do a maximum item. So we're going to do, layout row items. Let's say we've got maximum of, let's say 6 to a row. Max, just say that. Does that need any of the parameters? Yeah, the height set to 0 by automatically. So for each tag in G recipe tags, we just write, let's say we're going to do a, it is technically a button, but button without any information in it, to be honest with you. We just don't care about the button doing anything. Why is this taking to compile? Okay, so the scaling's awful for you as well. So we've got details for viewing the recipe, and it has these different things in there. Okay. What I need to do is change the scaling for you guys. So if I go back to main, put the scale as 2. There we go, that's better. And I'm going to default to the... where's the default? All windows here. We're going to default to the view recipe to begin with. Yeah. And there's our tags being rendered, but not necessarily... What? I thought there were tags. That's my worry. I didn't see them. Yeah, the description. We don't need a short description there, to be honest with you. Where do I do it? So, view recipe. Okay, we do that. Either of them are fine, but then we just figure out which one it is. So we got description, but for some reason it doesn't render the description. Okay, why don't I render the description when this gets loaded? Wait, where? Wait, say wait! Wait! Why is that not loading a description? We don't need to keep that optional, we just need to put it in. But there should be a description in there. It says text. Let's put that in there, shall we? Just pretend there is one. It doesn't even work. What about short description? What? What is going on there? Maybe it's just... should be not equal nil is what I'm saying. It might be that. Yeah, I was doing it wrong. Yeah, I'm a moron. And I'm the one who ported that library. So I'm not very smart, me. No. Okay, so next are the tags. For some reason, none of the tags are... of the tags. Oh no, that's why. Why? Yeah, so there's some of the tags now. Breakfast and pancakes. And it said 6 tags and it just done 2 of them for me. So, we now need to do 4. You know what? We're going to do blank in len of gric tags. Dummy tags. Let's do dummy tags. Is we're going to do that. How many is there? Mod 6. And how many, that's how many we've got to do. And then we can just do layout next on that. Because we don't want everything in there. So for some reason it's just still not gave me everything. Okay, so I need to, is it 6 minus that number? Or is it 5 minus that number? Okay, let me figure that through in my head, because I'm going to have to write that down. Because if it's 3, okay, 0, 1, 2. If you do mod 3, that's fine. Because if you have 0, then you don't need to do anything. Right? No, it's because because we need to figure out how many there was. If that equals 0, doesn't equal 0, we then need to do 6 remaining. So I'm going to do this tag row column count equals 6, like that. That didn't work. Maybe it just needs to be a blank label is what I'm thinking. Because it actually probably doesn't like you. No, because why are they just so wide? Why? What have I done wrong? Because I know there should be 3 here, not 2. Oh, it's... I'm a moron. It's giving me the same kind of thing, so I need to give it... let's say each one of them is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. That's completely wrong, but at least I now know it works. And let's just do the width of the whatever. I really don't care now at this point. You're understanding what I'm trying to do, guys, right? Right? I just want to do a layout row. Items. But the items don't get set. Yeah. Well, the widths don't get set. That's the problem. So we need to reset the widths. So if I do context layout, layouts get the current layout. Widths is blank. Is that what I wanted? Yeah, that's close enough to what I wanted. So let's try that as like 2. Yeah, now it's working out actually better than I was expecting. Yeah, and I don't think I need that many by the looks of it, but whatever the actual like row mount needs to be, that's fine. So we now got there just fake buttons, so yeah, we don't need to do anything on there. Okay, so we're showing off all of the different tags, and we could probably put a label on there, can we not? And in fact, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just being dumb, is the best way of doing it. I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put a label, call it tags, and then UI begin column, layout column, like so. Like that. Okay, that is actually pretty good. Yeah? We can close that anytime we want. We've got those tags there. That is starting to look good already. So I'm going to just do that there. View tags for recipe. Commit that. That was quick to do. Is there anything update the update database? There's probably very little to do with the database in there anyway, but carry on. Okay. So we want to then get the inputting of those actual recipes, because at the moment, if we can't do this, we haven't even got a forward cookbook, or I keep calling it a forward cookbook. That's such a really stupid term. Because I'm using the reverse cookbook, so it's like opposite. But obviously it's like reverse notation. That means forward notation. Like, no. Right. Are there any recipes in here, or is it just learning how to... Here's some recipes. Perfect. I've got a very old cookbook now. And it's a facsimile of an old cookbook. And this book in itself is old. And like, how old is this facsimile? Let alone... This facsimile is from 1968. And it's meant to be from a book from 1861. And... Oh, it's got that weird fusty smell. Like it's been in It's not smoker smell, but it might be slightly smoker smell. It's got some pretty pictures in it. Like, okay, so they've been hand drawn, obviously. Like, can you see? Can you see? You can't see in that little tiny thing. So if I go back to this size, yeah, see, it's good little book. I like Mrs. Beaton's any stuff. Yeah, and if I open up the front page, other than that, you can then start to see what type of facsimile it was, because you get to see what it would have looked like as the actual pretty in colour pictures. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, I'm getting too excited over a cookbook. Okay. What we now need to do is the fixing of the add recipes. So we go back to our view in the window. So the problem here is adding a recipe at the moment isn't very easy to do. Like, for instance, we need to add an author. The problem is, I don't know what authors have got. So we need to do different views, obviously. So we're doing these different things here. So select unit. So we can do select author and do select source as two different things. These are very, very clever ways of doing things. No, they're not. So there needs to be a button. Yeah. Submit in button. Keep it blank for the time being. And then we'll do select author equals true. Okay. And then what we've got all of these things here. If we're going to select an author, so else if select author, we then need to effectively we need to say which select mode we're in. So select mode. So we have none is the first thing. Unit, author, source, ingredient, U8. Select mode, select mode. Perfect. Select mode. It's now a little state table, effectively. Author. Select mode equals, what is this we're clicking on? Unit. Select mode ingredient. For instance, if select, I'm going to switch on that select mode, is then it's going to tell me I haven't handled those cases. It's wonderful, isn't it? I can cheat. Okay, so if it is a unit or an ingredient, that's fine, but any other one, okay. Then we're just going to delete that and then do partial, like so. If that's the case, there's that. We then can do we can do select mode equals none. Yep. This is going to be fun. It's going to say select ingredient, doesn't really work, so they need to be dots. Sorry, you're right. Select unit doesn't really make any sense, so select mode. We're going to put select mode at the top, out of here. Yeah? In fact, I don't even need to have the select mode at the top, do I? Because I just need to... It's one of those where I'll just put that back, keep it slow. If true, select mode equals nil. But that was fine. Same with this. So I could do stop equals true. Stop equals true. Return. Leave that in. Stop. Stop equals true. Yeah. So then we can just do a switch statement on this, can't we? So if select mode equals unit, else if select mode equals, in fact, what we can do is another switch statement. Shit. Switch select mode case unit, like so. Case dot ingredient. Like that. Case dot none we're going to ignore. We can put that to the top, can't we? Ignore. Case, it will tell us what off we've not done yet as well, so that'd be fine. So which ones are we missing? We got author and source. So author, source. Why have we got this select window here? Oh shit! It's because it's got the different select modes in it. There we go. So if we do that. Just to, yeah, that works. And the same with the author. That doesn't do anything, but it should do for when I'm doing the units. Yeah, that works fine. So it's a nice little cleanup there. That's helpful to help doing things here. By the way, if you've got any questions or anything in the chat, just always chat in there. It's always good fun. It's always a nice, fun stream to do. Yeah. So how's everyone's weather doing today? Because that's always we care about is the weather. The most interesting thing in the world. We've got cooking and weather. Oh, food and weather. Who doesn't care? So this is going to be if unit selector author. You know what? I'm going to add them as global flipping things. Because it's actually really just annoying me now. UI state width. I don't want to have to keep passing them really. Right, do that. And get rid of that. And get rid of that. And that. And that. And then it's going to yell at me because I've still got this stupid use case of it. Come on, it's a state machine. I don't really care. Just want to do this to make it cleaner and simpler to deal with because I'm like... Thank you. Perfect. dry as hell. Okay. We've been raining. It's been very humid today. I've got the dehumidifier at the moment because I'm getting humidity headaches otherwise. It's dry. Yeah. Rain cleared up. Yeah, it's all right. Good to know. Right, so that's all cleaned up. Better state machine. It's also cleaning up the code. We now want to do select mode equals nil. Select author. The problem with that is we effectively need to set the author art index. But that's hard to do because we don't even gather the authors yet, so it's not even really necessary. So I'm going to just do select mode equals nil for that and for that. Yeah. Same with the source. Okay. Like so. In fact, I don't think it needs to be -1. I can probably say this is going to be negative. Let's call this -40, and then the other one is just going to be 35, and then we can add stuff in here like UI label blank. I think the author can't be optional, but the source can be optional. That can be optional. Not optional, but the long description is optional. Portions, we can probably leave blank. Portions name, that blank as well. So then we've got effectively, oh, it's still not big enough in my opinion, so let's probably do that to -60, and that's 55. In fact, it shouldn't be 55, let's just try 54. No, it really needed to be 56 then. Okay, let's just do that. And 61. Okay, that's better. That is better. Because it's now a little bit more centered correctly. Oh, well, congratulations for submitting your master's dissertation. Yeah. Rightio then. So when we're going to add these recipes, the problem with adding recipes is we need to add loads of different things to it. For instance, we also need to do, we've got steps, we've got ingredients. I probably also want to add the tags. So that was another kind of a header. So UI tree node tags. Expanded. Like so. And then we need to do the add thing again. Max tags. Let's say the max tags are 20. I'm just doing random numbers at this point. Pretty much all I need to do. Steps. Tags. Here, so max tags. Tags. Okay. Where's the ingredients? Oh, I need the steps effectively here. So wherever the steps get started, which is this kind of nonsense, wasn't it? So if I just copy and paste that, and I may have to just copy and paste it in general. It's fine for the time being. Tags. Okay, so we can add ingredients. We can add some tags as well, and they get rendered in the wrong place. They should be in the tree node. Because I'm a smart person for doing that, aren't I? So I want to clean this up because these stuff here aren't very useful. So add stuff. The add stuff is going to be the array. So this is going to be a dynamic array. Some element in there. Max count. Which is passed as an integer. And then that should be actually okay. Max count. Shouldn't see tags to it. We could do array. That doesn't need to be a pointer, but that's absolutely fine. So then we could just clean this up for every single use case here. So there's tags, max tags. This is why I love inline procedures, because you can do all this crap, and it's damn simple. Ingredients, max ingredients. And then the last thing here is steps. So max steps. This is kind of semantic compression in action, if you've never heard of that thing before. Context, UI, context. Yeah, I'm not very smart either, but yeah. Yeah, they all work as I expect. That is lovely. This could be cleaned up as well. But no, each one's different, so it doesn't really matter that much at the end of the day. So I'm going to keep it there. So the tags are fine. We're going to have to do lowercase on each of the tags when they're done. Tags dot to lower is effectively what I want, so I can't remember what the Odin thing is. It's under strings, obviously. Strings to as lower. Was it in Unicode? No, Unicode. Unicode Odin. No, I don't remember where any of my actual stuff is in Odin. I'm in the wrong case. Unicode Odin. Yeah, 2 lower, 2 upper. Strings 2.0 with the temporary allocators thing in there, but I'm kind of... I mean, I could do that. There's no real problem with doing that, to be honest with you. Oops, that's Odin Hellgrind stuff. We're not going to look at that. I haven't done that stuff yet either, even though we need to do the Hellgrind stuff. Yeah, we need to do those development tools. But the better it is, the better. That's a tautology. Shush. What is under the UI? It returns. No, we go to UI widgets. They return result set. Yeah. I'll do something to do here. So to lower. I need to do to lower on it effectively. So yeah, we could do that. It's not really a problem. So I could just go for I in tags.length like that. Tags.I. Let's import. Have we got strings in there? So we have strings, but we need Unicode really. To lower. So let's just pretend they're bytes. It doesn't make a difference. So to lower the row of tags I. Yeah, actually, you know what? We'll do the tag data. Like that. Let's call that C. Like that. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, that is. So, if I do that, entered on it, but if I do like that and entered on it, it'll go lowercase. Okay, so if I did, yeah. That's wonderful. So if I did gog woo, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that does the lowercase for me, no problem. Isn't that wonderful? The powers of this, like doing this in JavaScript would be a pain in the arse. I know it's probably slightly simpler in some cases, but like, look, I like doing this code. It's easy now. We're still not added a recipe, and we're on day 4. It's like, oh, we're adding all the tooling. But if we actually add up all of the hours we've done, you've got to remember this through. We've been working for 45 minutes today. If I look at my my channel, looking at what I've actually done. So the first day we did 2 hours, 2 hours 40. The next day we did 2 hours. And the other day we did 2 hours 30. We probably weren't programming all those times. So that's just say that's 2 plus 2 plus 2, that's 6. Plus another, was half an hour, so that's 7. Plus another hour, that's probably, plus half an hour I did stuff before, so that's 7.5 hours. Plus today, we've just done over a day's work. So we have done about 8 hours work, just over 8 hours work. I think that's pretty good. You have to remember how productive you can be with the amount of time you be. So you have to also take into account, like, look, this is not 4 days. This is a certain amount of hours for a jam. If I had a full, literally, time off, you could easily do more than I've just done in a day. But yeah, it's just half the times with that. Okay, so what was I looking for now? Oh yeah, so we've now got the ability to do this. We now need, effectively, when we do submit the thing, literally, when we go to the recipe, looking at it, come on, build, there we go. We need to submit recipe thing at the top or at the bottom. It doesn't really matter where it is as long as we can do it. I wonder if the optional thing is just taking up the extra space. That's what my worry is. No, it's not that. Other things are. So one thing I'm worried about is effectively the submit button up here. So we just do here if ui.button.submit in button submit recipe, and then we're going to do submit. Just do the to do, because the problem I have with the submit of the recipe is it's a big button, and we should probably not put it there. We should probably really put it right at the end, because it is going to be harder to hit if it's right at the end. Like that. Okay, we're going to probably also put some padding here. So UI, I know, label. It's got nothing in it. But that'll give it some padding. And we've got some submit things. So you can also scroll in. We can do submit recipe. So when we do submit the recipe, we've now got to actually push all of that data in. But one thing I want to do with the database is I want to add a transaction. So if it fails, you've effectively got to do it correctly. Yeah? Yes, the I can't even do Welsh, and it's a joke name anyway. It's got a better name. It's got like a normal name. But yeah, we don't need to delete any recipes at the moment. They're going to be harder to do, but yeah. So I need to mute my phone. There we go. Stop dinging phone. It's annoying. Um, one of the things I'm now trying to figure out here is what to do. Do I have in the SQLite library a way of doing a transaction? No, I haven't even got that yet. Great, I've got to add it. SQLite 3 transaction begin and then begin end. So for people who have never used databases before, transactions are... Oh, sorry, good question. So someone's asking, why did you decide to use micro-UI instead of ImGUI? Sorry if this is already asked. It's not been asked, actually. So the reason is I hadn't set up ImGUI, and setting up micro-UI is really easy. Like, it's that quick to do. So that's why I did it. No other reason beyond that. When discussing Carbon, you also mentioned Embergen, and also mentioned that it's an extreme proprietary. Did you also work on, and if so, is it hard to implement a UI? So I did work on it, but I'm not the main person. The main person who worked on that is RXI, who works on Embergen for us. So I'm just going to go back to the camera zone and sit for you. So RXI is the main man behind the UI, like the workings. And we have Vitaly on our team, who's the guy who pretty much designed the UI, like the look and the feel of it. And then RXI has implemented it. I worked on the rendering engine for the thing, and I've also worked on orders and sods during the UI as well. It's not hard to implement a UI, not at all. In fact, it's pretty simple. The complicated things in the UI are when you have... like, for instance, the more complicated things, like you've got these interpolation curves and stuff, which is what I remember working on. Like, for instance, in the timeline, you want to have these different curves and you want to turn them with different tangents and stuff. I had to work on that. I just remember it was all the cubic interpolation stuff I had to do, and it was just, I had to work that out by hand, and it wasn't fun. And figuring out to make sure it was monotonic in the X direction. You can't loop backwards, so it has to be completely loop in one direction. So you're going to go up and down. It's not properly monotonic, as it doesn't all go up. I mean, you can go back and up and down in the y-axis, but monotonic in x. So it doesn't go back, loop back. So getting all that interpolation was fun. Yeah, so you're breaking out of the web bubble, and you're going to start working on custom UI in C or Odin. That's great, use whatever, but using it without, just try it. Try making an ImGUI is the easiest thing usually. And ImGUIs are very useful. People misthink, that means they're stateless. You don't have any state in them. Like, no, you have loads of state in UI. You can just cache it a lot. Instead of relying on retain mode, which you initialize at the beginning with, you rely on caching in an ImGUI usually. And you can always have a hybrid of the two. There's nothing stopping you. No. Sorry, I've just got a friend talking to me anyway, but yeah. So again, distracted by social life? Who needs a social life, guys? No. But yeah, that kind of thing, so I wouldn't worry about it. You can implement a retain mode interface on top of immediate mode and vice versa. Of course you can. The actual internals in the actual end of the day will look probably very, very similar when it comes to UIs. The difference is just how you interface with the code. And personally, I think immediate mode ones are better if you can. Short answer is, unless you're working in a low memory environment and a low power environment as well, like if it's a really low power and low memory, and you're not rendering re-rendering every frame, then you need a retain mode, full stop. But if you're re-rendering every single frame, you're not in a low power mode, like you're using a high performance app, use an ImGUI, like literally use an immediate mode graphical user interface every single time. Do not even bother with anything else, in my opinion, because, well, there is another caveat to that thing, is accessibility issues. So if you need a screen reader and stuff, like there are bit tools like the OS things, so they are all ImGUI, obviously, retain mode. But it's hard to do half the time. but if you don't need to worry about that, and I mean by accessibility, I mean like screen readers. I don't mean like other languages, which is technical localization, but whatever. Then that's fine. Do you hold onto the last frame state in ImGUIs for saying dragging the state? Yes, you hold a lot of the state. You actually cache it all. You don't. You just cache it. Is the best way. Like I'll explain how ImGUI in this one works here for you. So do I, because I don't mind doing the streams. Let's go back to this thing. I know we're doing working on the jam, but I don't actually mind talking about this. It's always nice, a little distraction for myself. If we actually look at the context here, the context stores a lot of data. It stores some callbacks to get all the text stuff, like the text width, the height, and the draw frame. You also have some of the core state in here, like the style data. You've got the IDs of the hover, the current hover, the focus, and the last ID that was on there, the last rectangle, the last Z index, the update focus, which frame index you're on, which of the containers like Windows, effectively, that's what they're called in this UI. You've got some buffer for the number edit stuff. You've then got a list of commands. So you've got stack for the commands, the roots of the containers, another container list. You've got clip stack. These are all just stacks stored in here, so it is that. How power inefficient is ImGUI? It's not inefficient if you're already drawing every single frame. Short answer of it. When I was bringing up that statement, I was meaning literally if you are literally on an embedded device where power drain is very, very important, like you're on a battery, like a small battery, then yeah, you only want to update your state when you do things. And you can do that with an ImGUI, by the way. You only have to keep redrawing the ImGUI as soon as the input state goes. But because it can be highly dynamic, that may not be what you want. It's much easier to be highly dynamic in an ImGUI than in a retain mode. So retain modes usually work with event systems, which can be very energy efficient with the state machine. But yeah, you can do that with an ImGUI as well, but it's not as... There's so many different ways of doing that. But yeah, like look, you have a lot of cache in here. Like these stacks work in here. But one thing we also have in here are the pools. These retained state pools. And you may go like, wait, what? Yeah, so pools actually store a lot of information for you. These pools have like the ID, the last frame update, and so on and so forth. So when you're doing like a tree node, like it says here, you've got the state of the tree node. So when if I just show you what go to the widgets, tree node, and we look at the begin tree node, what we get here is we get the header, and we get the state of the header. If it's currently active, then we do what we need to do in here, and we push a new stack ID and pop it when we need to. But the header, if we actually look at how header is implemented, oops, we actually pool get. So we get data from the pool, the tree node pool, and this has got the index and the active data in there. So it tells you what index we're in there and the active data of the pool node. So it's some cache data. We're expecting for the pool node, if we actually look at the pool node, we're expected not to use more than 48 trees at a time, which is fine for a Mic UI. If we need to use more, we can literally define these manually, or we can just modify the code like I'm doing. So no problem. So that's kind of how Micro UI does. Micro is very simple. I recommend reading the code. It is in C and also in Odin. It's in C. It is, I think, 1,100 lines of code. In Odin, it's much smaller. IQY, here we go. The Odin form is... Oh, it's a bit larger, actually, because I do some of the stuff. So it's 1,000... This is literally, I'm looking at the source file. So look at that, plus also... Ignore the atlas. Ignore the atlas. So let's say that's 1445. Yeah. And then we look at the port of the original version. Source, yeah, it's 1200. So it's a little bit more in Odin, but I think I do actually a few other things in Odin as well to make it a little bit... Oh yeah, I don't, so it's not actually, it's about the same, because I forgot the headers. Headers, they're useful to know. You got one more last question regarding the UI. You're having trouble deciding between OpenGL, Vulkan, or the CPU. And like, you mean like software rendering is what you mean. And I might even say BS right now because I'm not experienced enough. So what do you use to draw the UI? So I'm using STL, and it's using I'll just show it for you, don't worry, it's not a problem. So in here we have the loop. So I'm using STL, so I'm creating a window. I'm using its rendering system here. It's create a render, which is accelerated, as well as got the VSync in there. And then I also have a texture which is the texture for the text, literally the font. And then I'm copying that font in. And then I have just rendering directly to the STL renderer, like using STL. I'm not even bothering with OpenGL or the rendering like that, just using what STL needed. It's more than enough for what I require. Because if you look at the rendering code, it is this entirely. It's very simple. You've got a list of the commands that you're going through, and those commands are pretty simple at the end of the day. Like, oh, you've got to render some text. Well, it's effectively rendering a texture, and you've got to go through each of the strings in the texture and be done. Like, oh, rendering a command. Oh, that's really simple. We just do a rectangle. We just set the draw command, then do a rectangle. Draw an icon, draw a texture again. If you're doing a command clip, we set what the clip rect is and keep going through this list, and that's how you render. So that's the STL approach. STL is not that very fast or efficient, by the way, but it's more than enough for what I'm doing for this little project. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Good, good. I hope that's good. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't recommend Vulkan for a beginner. I wouldn't really recommend Vulkan for many people, but that's a different thing entirely. We're not go into that today, shall we? Yeah. How would you turn that command queue into a single draw call? Well, we do that already in Odin. I will not Odin for Embergen. We have the entire ImGUI as a single draw call, and you may be going like, wait, what? Like, yeah, the entirety of our entirety of our UI is drawn in a single draw call, which takes about 150 microseconds at most. So it's fast. That's the whole point. We didn't want to have any contention caused by the UI from the rest of the GPU, which is why I did it designed that way. So if you want to see a single draw call system, I recommend reading my what's the luck for my. I had a jam thing. Let me find it. It was. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find it in my code here. It's been a while since I've done it. There we go. It was a Ludum Dare entry. So Ludum Dare entry number 47. And it was the Hyperbolic Space Fighters Extreme. And this was done, written in Odin. It was for the desktop. Obviously, I wasn't doing the web browser. And this was using a single draw call system. So it's a very simple idea. So like most of this is actually probably just getting the thing. But like, okay, you get the indices. You grab all the data from the buffer that you have, which is this here, big float buffer, and then generate the data from what you've read. So most of what I wrote in here was like, here's a rectangle, the Poincare stuff, and the entity menus. So you're doing some very clever stuff in general. But I recommend reading this. So just go to github.com/gingerbill/LD47, and then you've got all that there. Yeah. So that was just a thing I did for Ludum Dare for fun, and it was just a hyperbolic. Actually, you could probably show if I had the entry on there somewhere. Does it show the entry, or did I not put it on there? Nope. Let's find out. Oh, that's my old stuff, so clearly that doesn't work. I want to look at the old stuff. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, obviously, today. I've just been one of those days. I don't really care that much, to be honest with you. So, I think I've probably got it. Yeah, there's the entry I did. So this is what I did, was a bit of fun. And the topic was, and I just did it as a compo, because I only do compo because that's the only way you should do it. And this is my Hyperbolic Space Fighters Extreme game. Look at it. I did a hyperbolic space here, which is quite fun. And I did it with pentagons, because it looked cool with pentagons than any other shape. And I was having fun with this, and I added some nice little patterns here to make it look cooler. And I did okay 80th in graphics, but everything else was crap. And it's like, well, yeah, it wasn't great. Yeah. So I've got some good comments here. This is quite nice. Yeah, it's right. Because of the nature of the 8 hyperbolics, you can just go to the edge and shoot and you never get hit. Now, yeah, it was an experiment. I wanted to try this out. It was like, yeah, you could never get hit by any of the things because you go into corner. It's like, well, you're now at infinity and you're never going to get hit. So, you love my pronunciation of buffer. How else you meant to say buffer? I'm not sure about the word. Like, buffer. You got to say buffer. I don't know how you say it. I'd say buffer any other way. You're using rate. So I'm just chatting now. This feels like a normal Wednesday stream. I know it's the Thursday. I know I should be doing this jam, but I'm also at the point where I'm like, it's 10 to midnight. I'm about done. So, and I haven't really worked on this. I should be. Oh, it's one of those things where like, oh, this is fun. I will say this is fun working on this. I wanted to show off the. I wanted to get the transaction stuff working, but I needed to find the header code to do this. And it looks like Sky didn't write the transaction stuff. Buffer, not buffer. Like I'm saying buffer. Buffer. I don't know. Transaction. I'm looking through all of the code to see what is... How do I do a transaction in SQL is my question. Lite. SQL Lite. Begin, end, transaction. And they can also do rollback as everything. That's what I want. Begin, commit, and rollback. How do I do that? I'm like... Well, it looks like it wants me to do it in the SQL itself. But I'm like, I don't really want to do that specifically. Yeah, we should probably put an SQLite one in the vendor, right, when they get more mature. Because the problem is we need 2 different levels of it. We need the raw bindings, and then we need the... Not a wrapper per se, but like something that uses it. Because if you look at what I've written here, most of this is literally what Sky did. And then I added my own stuff to it. Like, for instance, I added... not even selected array. Get single and get array, because I found them to be okay. They're not necessarily great, because this is the problem is I wouldn't give this to anyone. It's not really that useful. They're a little bit dodgy is the best way of putting it. And it may just be easier to let people do their own wrappers than relying on what we give, because it's really hard to design that really well, if that makes any sense. Oh, it's fine. You can't see what I'm looking at, but like, it's this code. It's not like great. And I'm also looking for the begin and like commit transaction stuff, and it's just showing me the code. Begin, commit, roll back. Let's just do Google. I want to see the C code if there's not just the stuff. This is not useful to me. Paul Allen. Oh, where is he? Is Paul Allen? Is he in London, right? Paul Allen is. Okay, let's not do my bad jokes. That was a very obscure reference, maybe. Not that obscure. Yeah, like, yeah. Huey Lewis in the news. Oh, that's a sport. No, let's not do the things. Oh, I wonder how many people get that reference. There's probably a few people getting that reference. Please tell me in the comments below, or even in the chat right now to that way, if you get that reference, what I was trying to do. Both with Paul Allen and Huey Lewis in the news, what those two together symbolize. Yeah. Oh, nice ice cubes. God, it's humid, so it's not hot. It's just the humidity is not nice. It's more humid than it has ever been compared to when we had the heat. And I'm not sure sometimes, do I prefer the heat or do I prefer the like hot but dry, but cold and humid? And I think I just prefer hot, dry weather any day of the week, I think, than a warm, humid weather. Oh, I don't think I could live in which is the African country? It's right next to the river, like really in the river. Like Senegal is above it. What's the one below it? I don't think I could live there. Oh, too hot and humid. I think I'd die. Um, oh, not good for me. God, no good for me. You'd probably have to get used to it. But yeah, whatever. I'm now rambling. If you did not guess, we're at the point in this jam where I'm in rambling mode, which suggests I probably should go to sleep soon. Because this is a very short stream. I'll go to bed in about like 15 minutes at this rate, 20 minutes maybe max. But I want to see if I can actually add a recipe, and I just need the transactions in there, because if something goes wrong, we don't want to do it all at once. Yeah. Yeah, the header file isn't useful. I don't know how to do the transaction in normal code. This is not a drunk stream. I'm not drunk, so. Yeah, I'm not going to turn this into a drunk stream. But this is a tired stream, which is better. Rambling through Scotland is good fun. I'm like, oh, I don't care about Scotland. I'm not Scottish. I'm not going to become drunk at this time of night. There's no point. Tired, what's drunk? Well, when I'm tired, I struggle to think. When I'm drunk, I can think, but only one thing at a time. There's the difference. When you're tired, you just want to sleep. Drunkenness is not tiredness. Yeah, all the puns come out. It's never the point. My humour, I think, I'm like, it's worse. Like, yeah, I don't know. Just don't do this. This is just a stream now. This is just me chatting. Like, hey, just chatting. Or like, maybe it should be one of those Twitch streamers where I'm like, I need to get in a jacuzzi and just get half naked, because that's of course quality content that people are watching. Do people not know that? Of course they do. Of course they know the internet exists, because they're on it. I'm not going to comment on any more about that. Yeah, I sometimes if I drink like, say, a very strong beer, like an imperial stout or a barley wine or something like that, I'll go to sleep. That's just an easy way to get me to sleep. Give me a glass of that, and then I'm like it's just the easy way to do it. But yeah, I have to wear tight lingerie. Of course, I need to do that now. No, I mean this Ben Folds 5 shirt is tight enough, isn't it? Yeah, it's a Ben Folds shirt. Sorry, it's not a Ben Folds 5. Oh, so sorry. That should be sexy. Yeah. Oh. No, it's not. Oh God, I'm insane. Shall we actually try and do something? Because we're nearly done with the forward cookbook. Honestly, this is actually nearly done. I just need. It's just the transactions. Like I can't figure out the transactions. So yeah. Well, last time you got visited to it. So this is from Chameleon in the chat, as he's called. I'm calling that. Last time you visited Twitch. Last time you visited Twitch, it recommended a thought in a bikini, which was surprising given that you only subscribe to programmers and Minecraft streamers. I'm like, yeah. I understand. This is the sad thing. I understand why people watch those shows, but at the same time, like, have you not known the rest of the internet? Don't you know what what the internet is made for? People are fascinating, aren't they? Is the best way of putting it, and they'll pay money to do this. Oh, people, just stop peopling is what the short answer of it, isn't it? Right? But no, I mean, whatever. I am gonna have to stop because I actually can't add a recipe. So not stop. I'm gonna have to plan. So adding recipe, the block, we've got a block in our code because I can't just do it tonight because I'm probably just not working. Let's write this down on something called paper. You guys may not know what paper is, but it's this thing made from trees. Like, you can make it out of trees, and then you mush it down into pulp, and then you flatten it down with maybe some rollers or something like that, and shape it, and then you get this thing called paper. Okay? And then you can write on it with something made of ink. It's amazing, out of a pen. Who would have guessed? So I'm going to write down things on here. So when add recipe, we need requiring transactions on here. So add recipe requires transactions. So this is begin, commit, roll back. Yeah? Which makes sense. Okay. So, once we've got the forward thing, the other things we need to do is view, select recipe, select and view recipes, so rather than just forcing on Nigella's. No, as much as everyone loves Nigella, we don't want to do that. Thank you for liking that smash button right now, of course. What else is there that we need to do? So the next thing we'll probably have to do after that list is we want to do the reverse thing, because I want to do this before Sunday ends, pretty much. I want to do it for the week. Even though usually I start the week on a Sunday or whatever. Just calendars, there's different calendars. Who would have guessed? We want to be able to sort recipes, look for recipes including an ingredient, and then, so there's that aspect, and then there's also look for recipes that only have the ingredients you have. Which is going to be hard to do, because I need to get enough recipes to even test this with. But I can probably just do the test correctly, I guess. But yeah. What is it that I'm doing? Yeah, so we've got the reverse aspect. So reverse search. So recipes including any. Including, so that's N-E, including all. Good God, my handwriting is doing dreadful tonight. It looks like a demented spider. So it's recruiting any or including all, or like any one of them. Like, okay, if I give this and look at any of them as a subset, so this is a pure subset. The other one is, or was it superset? Superset. Shit, I'm gonna, you know what? Start writing English spell. Do not do Pitman shorthand, even for me in the future. It will not be helpful. Yeah. Good God, this is what. Welcome to me and my insanity. Welcome to the show of Ginger Bill and stuff. 200 more subs and we can call it a day. Yes, but we had 6.66. We had 6.66k subs, didn't we? That was pretty cool. What we're currently at is the actual real question. The real question is just to know how many subscribers I have. We are 66. Oh, we're 200 off of it. Oh, that's what you were saying. I understand now. I do not ever type on this phone. I hate typing on phones, and I hate typing on keyboards. I have pads of paper. There's one ream of paper I have. More here. I write notes on paper. I'm a really old, weird chap, and I'm not even old. But it's better because it's tactile. I wonder that I can actually plan it. I can physically locate it. I can put it there or put it there and go, oh, that is what I'm reading right now. Like, look, here's my notes. Quick scan. You're not seeing them. Like, it's the way I remember things. Like, I'm physically doing. Typing doesn't help because you've got to. It's not in a physical location to me when I'm looking at the computer. In a physical location, it's a very weird kind of mentality. Like, I like books. I don't like reading books on a like an iPad. Even though I have an iPad to read scientific papers, that's the reason why I bought one. I read it so I could read papers. But the problem was, after a while, it was a great way of organising. It was so that I didn't have to handle all papers around. But sometimes I still print out a paper so I can read it, because it's easier. Just print it in black and white, though, in a laser printer. But yeah. Like, paper is a wonderful thing. Um, but yeah, so the reverse search should be relatively simple. What we could probably do right now in this stream, because I said I was going to go to bed in 10 minutes, didn't I? Shall we show a list of ingredients? Literally just have the ability to show all of the ingredients and then have a what's in my pantry, which is not going to work. No, that's not a good idea yet. I have most of this idea in my head, by the way. Yeah, paper does work remarkably well when the battery goes flat. I'm like, the battery's so small in this, it's non-existent. It's amazing. Paper. It's the future, I guess. We're going to have paper in everyone's office in the future, aren't we? We're going to have loads of paper because that sounds great. Everyone seems to love that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Kindles, actually, surprisingly. I have my, I'm not. I like books. I have more books than you can probably see. This goes up another few levels and the blows below. Yeah, I like books. And I'm just using these as background ones at the moment. Because some people have been asking, what is the books behind me? I'm using this one as a background thing, but I love this book, which is Algorithms plus Data Structures equals Programs by Niklaus Wirt, or Nicholas Wirth, whichever you want to say his name. He doesn't care. That was one I'm using as a prop. Another book I'm using as a prop is Hacker's Delight, the second edition. I actually use this probably about 3 times a month. Surprising, like, why do you think... like, some people's like, why do you think it's so useful? It's like, because there's the odd thing in here, like bit twiddling stuff or understanding certain things, which is like really look up. Because when you're making a compiler stuff, it's quite useful. Or when you're doing the core library stuff, like I do a lot, it's useful to know all this. And this as a reference is just lovely. Like, if you've read the core library, you'll see me referencing Hacker's Delight from time to time. It's like, oh, I referenced this particular page doing this thing, and it's just like, oh, thank God this works, because I could probably derive the vast majority of this in the book. None of this is like, oh, hidden knowledge you couldn't know. Like, you can derive the vast majority of it if you needed to. It's easier because I don't have to think up with myself anymore. It just really is quite nice. Other books I have randomly laying around, like, okay, so there's communication sequential processes. This is just turning into a Ginger Bill stream. So before that becomes a Ginger Bill stream, shall we do this to make sure people know it is a Ginger Bill stream, and then go to this, get rid of the vlog? But no, I'm going to do the advertisement for the jam because it's probably a better idea. This is a very good book, Communication Sequential Processes, by Tony Hoare. So C-A-R Hoare, so Tony Hoare. Charles Anthony, whatever the R stands for. This is the book originally for like CSP on there, so it's simple enough to read. In fact, it's very nice, and it's new enough that he even discusses Ada in here, which is quite nice. Which version is this? So the Ada programming language. How old is this book? It's not that actually. It's 85, so yeah, he is that old. I forget. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's quite nice, the book. I've got loads of random books here. Oh, the Bible. Oh, sorry. The Bible for computer graphics, for fluid simulation, of course. This one's wonderful. This is the first edition, I think. I've not got the second edition. This is definitely the first edition, right? Yeah. Yeah, I recommend this. Anyone who want to learn about fluid simulation on computers, this is the book for you. I highly recommend it. It's Fluid Simulations and Computer Graphics by Robert Bridson. Or Bridson, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Sorry if I'm bastardizing his name correctly. It might not even be Robert. It is Robert. It's just totally checking. And yeah, it's a very good thing in here. He talks about all the different types of inflations, worrying about turbulence and different like flip and stuff like that. But not for LBM, which is for like lattice Boltzmann. For lattice Boltzmann, I wouldn't recommend this book. I'd recommend this book, which is the lattice Boltzmann method, which is by Kruger and et al. Yeah. This is a very good book. That is the Bible on the lattice Boltzmann method. I do like lattice Boltzmann, but it's one of those where you're kind of hacking it more than like I would say a flip method would do, like, or NPM or anything like that. So yeah, not necessarily the best option in the world. But I do like it because it's such the simplicity of it. That's why I really quite like it. It's a nice little thing that goes on. I'm getting distracted now with books. Clearly, because I'm no unblocked. I'm not going to be able to do it in the time, so I'm just having just chatting. Obviously here. If certainly you've got other questions, that's fine. Did I just see a stealth ad for a Remarkable tablet? No. I'm not. I know. Was it my colleague has one? It's pretty enjoys it. I thought about having one, but no. Just any favorite fiction books? Yes. Not saying what, but I'm just saying yes. That's fun. Yeah, you see, I like books, but they're uncomfortable to read in bed. I'm like, well, you sit up and read. That's the best way of doing it. So they're not uncomfortable. The uncomfortable is when people like try and read on their side. I'm like, nah. And also with regards to favourites, I in general, I don't have favourites of things. I find it, I don't think I find the concept stupid. I just find that depending on my context and my mood, I have different things that I prefer. I just don't have like a universal, unqualified favourite thing. It doesn't really make sense to me. Like, oh, in this context, I like this thing. I love it the most. And in another context, I prefer this thing. It's like, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I know some people like. That's always when I was a kid. It was always weird. Like, oh, what is your favourite colour? And I'm like, what? Like, I understood what they were asking and understood what they meant, but at the same time, I was like, well, I like different colours in different contexts. Like, that makes sense. There's no like, okay, in every context, I prefer the colour. I prefer the colour blue or the colour whatever. How long does it take you to work through advanced computer science books? Do you take it a page at a time? Depends. Depends on what I'm reading, to be honest with you. Because I don't really read that many computer science books, to be honest with you. I read many other things in general. But like, if you're reading a technical book, say it's a physics book, I do go page by page, obviously, and that's how I read a book. I'm a very slow reader. I read at the pace that I speak at. And I'm not a fast speaker. I know I'm speaking quite fast now, but I'm not actually a fast speaker in general. So, yeah, it's kind of a bit weird. Yeah, I just, you go at the pace you do. Don't try and force it. Yeah, regarding books, like favourites, if I'm thinking of genres, like one of favourite, if I'm thinking sci-fi, I do like Robert Heinlein a lot. I just kind of like he's kind of got a style. There's a proper name for it. I can't remember the name, but it's like the character where he can not do everything, but it's kind of like he has just the right amount of skills to solve that problem in that book, which is kind of like obvious thing, but it's quite nice because it's more of you get rid of the worrying about the character, more worrying about the story and getting it in there. And that's fine. Yeah, I've got one by Liu, whatever I can't pronounce it, Liu Cixin. I don't know how you pronounce the name, but I've got one of them I read. Which one was it? It was the one where the Earth was getting blasted off into space, and it looked like it was and it turned. Yeah, let's not talk about it. I was not going to spoil it, but yeah, that one. I thought it was okay. But yeah. But okay. All you see is maths formulas, and you prefer code in your programming books. But I recommend Hacker's Delight then. Hacker's Delight is mostly code. It's got C code in there, for example. Yeah. Yeah, there was one that made the movie. It was made by the Chinese government, and the film version of that book, which is the one I'm looking. Oh, which is it? I remember the name now. Anyway, I can't find it in the book. It's called The Wandering Earth. That was it. Wandering Earth. That's what I went. Thank you. And I've just seen it there anyway. The Wandering Earth the book has the plot where it has the doubt in it. It was saying like maybe the world government just kind of tricked us all and wasn't even a problem in the first place, and this is just the most way they're getting the massive amount of power possible. And then the film, they literally show a 2-second clip of like protesters because clearly the CCP can't tell you that's wrong. No. Because that would go like, no, but that's how it works. So any more last questions before I go to bed? Because I'm going to go to bed in a minute now. It's been wonderful, actually, little chat. I got some blocking. But I think, looking at the list, the transactions would take me an hour to do for this. Not even an hour if I had them set up. But it's going to take me an hour to find what to do correctly. How do they get past the sensors? They did it really quickly. That's what they did. Like, it was so... They did really well for that, I would say, on their Wandering Earth. You'll see it right near the end. They had some minor people protesting, like, oh, this is bad thing. Like, if you didn't read the book, yeah, it makes no sense. Okay, so we've got... we need to do a basic selection of different recipes, because we're going to have multiple, obviously, at the moment, not just forcing one. But that's simple enough. We're just going to have a big list. And just... This is the prototype, obviously. We need the reverse search, because the whole point of this prototype is to do reverse search. And then we want to do reverse search of, like... Show me any recipes including these ingredients, but not all of them. So it's like, show me a recipe that has a superset of these ingredients. Then show me a recipe of a subset, a strict subset, like a subset of these ingredients that I've given you. And then give me, then you can do from that, is then you can say the last thing as the feature of the reverse search, which is clearly means this prototype works after this. It's just going to show you the... how much of you can make, because like if say, oh, I've got 16 eggs, but I've only got 100 grams of flour, how much in portions can I make, guys? And I'll try and do that. That's the more complicated. That's a really complicated problem to solve, actually, to do it properly and efficiently, because you may have a lot. So this is technically not sort of the things in here. Someone saying like, oh, how long till you can replace this LLVM code gen? So someone's already working on that already, luckily, but I don't know. There's no time scale on that, fortunately. And hello, sorry, we are literally just about to leave, so I apologize if you've just joined the stream. This is literally the end of it, and I'm going to give it one more minute before I go. So thank you all for watching and listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. I apologise if I didn't do much programming. I only did about 45 minutes of programming and 45 minutes of just chatting. So I hope that was okay for everyone. So if anyone's got any other questions, please, before you do. Because I am just looking around at the moment, looking at other stuff. Yeah, oh, sorry, there's one thing I forgot to mention, is for some reason, an article that I wrote a year ago, which is on the essence of programming, got onto the front page of Hacker News somehow. I didn't even post it, and I will just briefly state that I would say the vast majority of the top comments were people who were commenting on it. Either they've just skimmed the article, is the best way of putting it, or they either skimmed the article or they didn't understand it. And I think the vast majority either didn't read the article or just skimmed it, because it turns out that, it was just a little bit annoying. It was just funny. I just found it kind of like, why are you making this criticism? I clarify that in the paragraph before the topic you're just reading. And then, it's just people, it's just funny. I gotta laugh at this. So, there's the minute up. So I think call this a night. So thank you everybody for watching and listening. Stay tuned for the next stream. I don't know if I'll be able to do it tomorrow, and if I do, it will be probably late at night at any rate. So again, just a Friday evening. That's half the problem. So stay tuned for that, and good night everybody. It's been wonderful. Bye.